He didn't say good evening. He didn't ask, can I help you? He didn't even look long enough to know who he was talking to. He just snapped his fingers like he was chasing a stray dog away from a doorway. You can't just walk into a private suite level without clearance. Step back now. The hotel hallway was silent. Thick carpet, gold sconces, polished doors. The kind of quiet that has money behind it. The man he barked at didn't flinch. Not once. He just stood there, gloved hand still on the key card that was already halfway inserted into the door. He hadn't even gotten a chance to open it. The concierge, a lean, sharp-jawed young staffer in a fitted vest and polished shoes, stepped between him and the door like a human barricade. Sir, I don't know how you got up to this floor, but you're not authorized to be here. Guests only. The man staring back at him wore a long black coat, quite expensive, the kind that speaks without logos. His posture was upright, shoulders relaxed, face unreadable. He didn't look confused. He didn't look scared. He just watched the boy who had just made a career-ending assumption. You're blocking my door, the man said, voice low and controlled. The concierge scoffed like he was being tested. And I'm telling you, you don't have a room here. Hand me your access card or step away before I call security. A couple across the hall turned their heads slowly, watching the scene like a scene from a courtroom. They didn't want to admit they were interested in. The concierge didn't lower his voice. In fact, he made sure to raise it just enough to give himself an audience. This floor is for VIPs, executives, and platinum clearance guests only. You need to go back to the lobby where check-in happens. The man didn't move his feet. He didn't blink. He only tilted his head slightly, like someone marking a timestamp in their mind for later use. I used my key card, he repeated. You saw me. And I am telling you, you don't belong here. The last 3 words came out hard, clean, and deliberate. Not accidental language. Not clumsy phrasing. Intent. The man slowly withdrew the card from the door slot and slid it back into the inner pocket of his coat with the same calm surgeons use to place a blade onto a tray. You're escalating a situation you don't understand, he warned quietly. The concierge took one step closer, voice icing over with entitlement. And you are loitering on a restricted floor. This is your last warning. Comply or I radio security, and they will escort you out. He raised his hand to his earpiece. The man exhaled once, not anxious, resigned. The kind of breath that means you walked into this with both eyes open. Then 3 words came out of his mouth, steady and precise, like the clicking of a lock. Do what you need. The concierge smirked, the smirk of someone who thinks the outcome is already decided in their favor. He pressed a button on his shoulder radio. Code 4 on level 47. Guest removal. Send team. Doors down the hall. Cracked open wider. Eyes peered. Phones raised. Not overtly, politely. The modern kind of spectator. Silent. Recording. Waiting. The concierge folded his arms. You could have just gone downstairs peacefully, he muttered without looking at him. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, the man said, tone unchanged. Minutes later, heavy footfalls arrived. 2 hotel security officers, both women, both broad-framed and uniformed in dark blazers that strained slightly at the arms. Their walk had authority, not nervous, not hesitant. The lead one, a chubby woman with her hair tightly coiled under a cap, planted herself in front of him. Sir, we need you to step away from the door, she said with official neutrality. Before he could respond, the concierge cut in like he owned her badge. He's not a guest here. He tried to access a VIP suite without authorization. Security didn't look at him. She kept her eyes on the man. Sir, do you have identification or a room key registered to this floor? He reached into the same pocket where the key card sat, but the concierge shoved a palm out. No, he's lying. He's stalling. Remove him now. The security officer's jaw flexed. She didn't like being told how to do her job. Not by a vest-wearing hotel clerk with a god complex. Still, protocol forced her hand. Sir, if you do not produce identification or proof of stay, we are required to escort you down to the lobby for verification. He didn't blink. No, he said flatly. Faces and doorways widened. No one expected refusal this calm. No, the concierge laughed. You think you have a choice? I do, the man replied, and I'm exercising it. The female officer stepped closer, professional but firm. Refusal gives us cause to treat this as trespassing. Last chance before physical removal protocol. His gaze didn't shift. You're about to make the same mistake he made, he warned. She paused. Not because she feared him, but because something in the way he said it didn't match the posture of someone guilty or caught. The concierge snapped, impatient. Stop talking to him like he has rights. He doesn't belong. He didn't finish, because the elevator dinged. Every head turned. The doors opened, and out stepped the hotel general manager, suit-tailored, face tight with urgency. He looked directly at the man before even glancing at the staff. Sir, the manager breathed out, almost pained. We've been expecting you. The concierge's face collapsed, draining. Security froze. Every door crack widened. The manager stepped aside with an almost reverent stiffness, as though making room for royalty. My apologies for the delay. Your suite is ready, and the board is already assembled in the conference room. They were told you might arrive early. The hallway shifted temperature. Silence turned heavy. The man finally looked away from the concierge, not in retreat but in dismissal, and returned his hand to the card in his pocket with unhurried grace. That won't be necessary, he said quietly. I had already accessed my door before I was interrupted. The manager's eyes flicked slowly to the concierge. He saw the stance. He saw the posture. He understood immediately what had happened without needing a single witness statement. Who initiated this, he asked. The concierge opened his mouth. Nothing came out. The man in the black coat didn't interject. He didn't defend himself. He didn't perform. He simply lifted his eyes to the security officer instead and spoke like the final page of a contract being read aloud. He stopped me. He denied I could be a guest. He called security, and he attempted to have me removed from my own floor. The manager's throat worked. Embarrassment washed through him visibly. Sir, he began, voice trembling at the edges. If I had arrived 90 seconds earlier, none of this. You weren't here, the man said, cutting him cleanly. But your employee was. And he acted with confidence, not uncertainty. The concierge tried again, words tripping over each other like broken glass. I didn't know who you were, I thought. That, the man interrupted, still without raising his voice, is exactly the problem. No yelling, no anger, just a cold, surgical recognition that the blade had already gone in. And no one, not even the manager, knew yet just how deep the wound actually was. The hotel lobby had gone silent. You could hear the faint hum of the ceiling lights, the low buzz of phones recording, and the shallow, nervous breathing of the front desk clerk who'd watched the whole thing. Mr. Alden, the senior security officer, stood beside the restrained guest like a soldier guarding an intruder. His jaw was set, his eyes flaring with self-righteous satisfaction. The guest, the man in the navy coat, hadn't fought back. He just stood there, calm, collected, with the faintest trace of weariness in his eyes. The kind of tired that comes from dealing with this exact situation far too many times. The manager arrived in a rush, still buttoning his suit jacket. What's going on here? Alden spoke before the guest could answer. Caught this guy wandering the executive floors. Tried to claim he's staying here. No record of him. Says he's on the presidential level, but his name isn't listed. The manager frowned and turned to the guest. Sir, may I have your ID? The man didn't flinch. You may, but before I hand it over, tell me, is this how you treat everyone who stays on your top floor, or just the ones who look out of place? The lobby stiffened. The question wasn't loud, but it carried weight. Alden scoffed. Oh, here we go again. You people and your card tricks. I've worked here 10 years, and I can smell a liar before he opens his mouth. The guest handed over his wallet anyway, voice still low and even. Then smell again. Read the name carefully before you say another word. The manager took the ID and froze. His eyes widened as if the letters themselves were glowing. He blinked, then blinked again. Alden frowned. Well, what's it say? The manager swallowed hard. It says, he hesitated, his throat tightening. Mr. Daniel Cole. The name landed like a drop piano. A few of the older staff exchanged alarmed glances. Even the concierge gasped quietly, because Daniel Cole wasn't just a name. It was a name. Daniel Cole, the silent investor who'd purchased a controlling share of the hotel chain 6 months ago. The man whose name was on the payrolls, the renovation contracts, the brand's legal documents. The man who literally owned their jobs. Alden blinked, confused. Daniel Cole? What, like the billionaire? No, that can't be. He wouldn't be here without. The manager cut him off, voice cracking. Mr. Cole is a primary shareholder of this property, Alden. Every whisper, every shifting footstep in the lobby froze midair. The color drained from the security guard's face. Wait, you mean? The guest, Mr. Cole, slowly buttoned his coat and stepped closer, speaking quietly enough that every word still cut like a blade. Yes, the man you just manhandled in front of guests and staff happens to sign your paycheck. The guard's mouth opened, then closed. He looked like he was drowning in air. I didn't know, sir. Exactly, Cole interrupted, his voice firm but controlled. You didn't know. You didn't ask. You didn't verify. You assumed. The cameras above caught everything. The guests recording hadn't lowered their phones. The manager's voice trembled. Mr. Cole, please, if you'll just allow us. Cole turned to him sharply. Don't plead for him. This isn't just about one man's bad judgment. It's about your culture. I walked in here wearing the same suit I wore to your shareholder summit last month, and not a single employee recognized me. Instead, I was treated like an intruder. Why? Because I wasn't dressed like money. The lobby was now dead silent. Everyone frozen between awe and shame. Cole's tone softened, but it was colder somehow. This is exactly why your brand is losing contracts. You think security is about intimidation, not integrity. Alden's voice cracked. Sir, please, I thought... You thought I didn't belong here, Cole said. Because people like me, in your eyes, don't belong in marble lobbies unless we're carrying luggage. The line hit like a gunshot. Even the guest recording looked down, ashamed of how easily it made sense. The manager began to sweat. Mr. Cole, I take full responsibility. Cole lifted a hand. No, you don't, because you trained him. You created an environment where a paying guest could be treated like a trespasser. He turned, facing the small crowd now forming near the reception. You all saw it. This wasn't about security. This was about ego and bias, the kind that ruins brands, breaks trust, and destroys companies from within. Then he reached into his coat pocket, pulled out his phone, and made one quiet call. Elaine, it's Cole. Effective immediately. Suspend Alden and initiate a full HR audit of this property staff conduct and training. Also, transfer managerial oversight pending review. Yes, I'll send the footage. The incident's already on social media. He hung up, pocketed the phone, and looked at the guard one last time. Alden's voice was barely a whisper now. Sir, please? I have a family. Cole's eyes didn't soften. So, did every person fired for being mistakenly profiled by your kind of behavior? Actions have consequences. The crowd parted silently as Cole walked toward the elevators, every step slow and deliberate, the kind of stride that carries both grace and judgment. Before entering, he turned slightly, voice carrying across the lobby one last time. You know what's ironic, Mr. Alden? You're the reason I came down here in the first place. I got a complaint from a guest last week saying your team harassed a visiting delegate. I wanted to observe for myself before deciding whether to expand this hotel security department. He paused. Decision made. The elevator doors slid shut. The silence that followed was heavier than stone. The manager turned slowly toward the guard, who stood pale and shaking. Alden, do you have any idea what you just did? Alden's mouth moved soundlessly. I didn't know. You never asked, the manager said flatly. That's the problem. Corporate HR arrived within the hour. Statements were taken. The guests who filmed were thanked, quietly, nervously, for their cooperation. By evening, Alden's security badge had been deactivated. his name removed from the system and his access revoked. By the next morning, the clip had gone viral. The headline read, "Hotel security detains guests." Turns out he owns a building. The footage played over and over on news sites, captioned with phrases like calm power, grace under fire, and instant accountability. A week later, Mr. Cole sat in his office, reviewing staff training proposals. A new line item caught his eye: bias and professional conduct reorientation, mandatory for all security staff. He smiled faintly, signing off on it. Accountability was a revenge. It was correction. Meanwhile, Alden sat home staring at the TV, replaying his humiliation. The moment his own arrogance collapsed under truth. He reached for his phone to scroll, but the comments were merciless. Instant karma. Power with restraint. Next time, check who you're talking to. He turned the TV off. Silence filled the room. For the first time, he felt the true cost of his assumptions. Not the loss of a job, but the loss of dignity. 2 months later, Cole's assistant entered his office. "Sir, there's a new security consultant waiting for you. Says he used to work for the company before the ownership change." Cole raised an eyebrow. "Does his name happen to be Alden?" "Yes, sir." Cole leaned back slowly, the corner of his mouth lifting just slightly. "Send him in. Let's see if he learned anything about humility." The door opened. The same man entered, older somehow, shoulders slouched, pride tempered. Cole looked up. "Well, Mr. Alden, ready to start again from the bottom?" Alden nodded quietly. "Yes, sir. Ready to earn it this time." Cole studied him for a long moment, then nodded. "Good. Let's rebuild. Properly this time." The lesson had come full circle.